The galaxy remembered humanity in fragments, dusty, contradictory, half-forgotten. Alien academies taught of Earth as a failed experiment, a world consumed by its own fires, a species undone by ambition. Records spoke of Terrans who once burned bright but collapsed before reaching true interstellar permanence. Their colonies withered, their empires dissolved, their voice in the void faded. And in every archive, whether the insectoid curators of the Kexi, the crystalline data vaults of the Valith, or the monastic annals of the hegemony, there was one striking commonality: silence. No clear Warfleet rosters, no ship registries, no comprehensive naval history. For a people who had once clawed at the stars with burning rockets, it was as if their fleets had been scrubbed from existence. Historians muttered of fabrication, of exaggeration, of human myth fleets, whispered to terrify their neighbors. The galaxy moved on. Humanity was dismissed as extinct, or at best, diminished to scattered ferals scratching in isolated colonies. Their absence was comfortable. Their silence was convenient. The first hints. It began on the rim. A routine Valith survey convoy reported interference near the Keltron Veil Nebula. Faint echoes rippled across the subspace spectrum, pulses in archaic Terran encryption. Static whispered coordinates long thought barren. The Council dismissed it. Artifacts, cosmic noise, perhaps smugglers playing at ghosts. But then a second anomaly appeared. A derelict station, tumbling among shattered moons, drifted with impossible regularity. Automated beacons blinked patterns no one could decipher, patterns that carried Terran cadence. Soon other discoveries surfaced. Abandoned shipyards cloaked in dust. Vast, skeletal hulls floating like monuments to decay. What looked like scrapyards from forgotten wars. The galaxy chuckled uneasily. Human ruins, they said, dead metal in dead space. But the readings grew sharper, the energy signatures more deliberate, and one truth pressed uncomfortably on every analyst's mind. The ruins were not as dead as they seemed. The stirring of ghosts. The turning point came without fanfare. A hegemony scout vessel, the Kyrenax, approached one such graveyard, a cluster of massive hulls hidden in the shadow of a dying star. Its crew broadcast laughter over open channels, mocking the Terran legends. They mapped the hulks with lazy precision, confident they were documenting relics of irrelevance. Then one of the hulks moved. At first only a shimmer, dust sliding off armored plates, the faintest glow at the seams of engines that had been cold for millennia. The scout captain froze, assuming sensor error. But the error repeated on every screen, across every frequency. The wreck stirred. Codes long thought extinct rippled through the ether, tearing open locked archives with authority none dared question. Old Terran identification tags, still valid, ignited ancient protocols in even alien databases. The so-called ruins lifted their heads, and the graveyard breathed. Engines of forgotten fire. One by one, colossi awoke. Engines rumbled like the roar of tectonic plates. Armor that had slumbered beneath centuries of dust gleamed again under starlight. And where once derelicts drifted aimlessly, formations aligned with terrifying precision. The Kyrenax broadcast panic before its signal dissolved in static. Other fleets scrambled to verify, to intercept, to confront. But the truth swept through the stars with a dreadful inevitability. These were not relics, these were not derelicts. They were fleets in waiting, hidden, preserved, and now reactivated. Their names echoed through encrypted transmission, each syllable heavy with dread: Invictus, Deliverance, Ashbourne, Iron Tide. Every archive had omitted them. Every historian had denied them. But here they were, an armada vast enough to darken constellations. The sky fills with steel. Modern fleets rushed to respond. The Valith deployed their crystalline dreadnoughts. The Kexi released swarms of chittering corvettes. The hegemony assembled a wall of ships to contain the awakening. But containment was fantasy. The Terran fleet did not stumble or hesitate. Every maneuver flowed with machine-like grace, as though centuries of slumber had been rehearsal. Hulls older than empires cut through opposition with surgical lethality. Energy weapons fired with the force of newborn stars, shattering formations that had dominated the galaxy for ages. Observers watched in horror as vessels assumed to be scrap performed combat drills flawlessly. Their systems recognized each other instantly. Their command structures were intact. The humans had not built fleets, they had built storms held in suspension. Alien captains screamed for retreat. Entire navies buckled in the shadow of ships whose existence they had been told was impossible. The skis, once confident in alien supremacy, now swam with Terran ghosts returned to flesh. Terror in the aftermath. The awakening rippled across every world. Citizens stared into the heavens and saw constellations blotted out by iron wings. Leaders whispered in war councils, their voices trembling, asking the same unthinkable question. If this is what humanity left behind in silence, what have they prepared in places still unseen? Rumors spread like wildfire. Some claimed the humans themselves were returning, descendants stepping from cryosleep, commanders older than nations. Others whispered darker myths, that the fleets themselves were the humans, uploaded into eternal steel, waiting only for command to reignite. Whatever the truth, one fact crystallized across the stars. The archives had lied, or perhaps they had been edited. Humanity's erasure was not an accident, it was design. And now the galaxy understood why. The whispered dread. Trade collapsed. Border skirmishes dissolved into silence. No empire dared to provoke the armada that had awakened. Every fleet in the galaxy re-evaluated its strength. Every general lay awake under the weight of an impossible truth. Humans did not fade. Humans did not forget. They had prepared. And what stirred now was not desperation. It was not revenge. It was the quiet, calculated revelation of a storm preserved until the galaxy had grown complacent. The fleets humans had never built now dominated the skis. And in every council chamber, in every hidden war room, one phrase returned like a chill in the marrow. If this is their forgotten arsenal, what else lies waiting? The council chambers of the Zayari Confederation shimmered with the cold glow of starlight refracted through crystalline walls. Their archivists spoke with certainty, their voices flat and assured, as they recited the ancient record. Humanity is no more, the eldest said, his spindly fingers resting on a holodable. Their worlds burned in their wars, their colonies fell silent, their systems became barren graveyards. The archives contain no trace of them beyond the third collapse. Around the chamber, alien leaders nodded. The council had convened to review threats in the Orion Arm, but humanity, once a whispered menace, was now dismissed as myth. To them, Earth and its kin were long extinguished. Even their records of Terran fleets were fragmented, as if deliberately erased, leaving only whispers of warships with black hulls and names spoken in fear. But silence is a dangerous foundation for certainty. Echoes from forgotten orbits. The first anomalies came from the outer reaches of the Perseid expanse. Long-range probes detected faint electromagnetic flickers near a gas giant whose rings shimmered with debris. At first, the Council dismissed them as static echoes, old wreckage reflecting radiation. Yet the readings persisted. Ghostly transmissions surfaced, fragments of codes with an ancient cadence, buried beneath cosmic noise. Frequencies so precise, so structured, they could not be random. An investigative fleet was dispatched, its escorts sleek and bristling with modern weaponry. Their sensors swept the void and found derelict stations hidden in the shadows of moons. Their hulls were silent, scarred by centuries. Towering frames of shipyards floated lifeless, like skeletons drifting through eternity. "Ruins," one commander declared. "Artifacts of a dead species, nothing more." But the silence unsettled them. The stations were too orderly, the shipyards too intact, and the signals, still pulsing, still rhythmic, grew stronger. The graveyard that breathed. The fleet scouts pressed deeper, mapping the husks that ringed the system. That was when they saw them. Ships hundreds, no thousands. They hung in formation, their hulls blackened but unbroken, their silhouettes sharp against the pale glow of the gas giant. They were vast and alien in their scale, but the signatures matched one name across every archive: Terran. The alien captains whispered uneasily over comms. These vessels should have been dust, their reactors long dead. Yet as the Council's observers watched, faint light began to stir within them. Engines thrummed. Hull plating shifted. Dormant codes lit up across scanners, broadcasting encrypted identifiers that no alien algorithm could decipher, but that recognized each other flawlessly.